Hey, the battery's up, and and we are all good. You know what though? I don't have my mic in. All right, there we go. How does this mic sound? How does that sound? Check, check, check. Sound good? Okay. Yeah. So we got to talk guns, don't we? Let me zip that up. It's cold. It is cold out here. Is that too harsh of a light? How come I can't see North Korea? Weird. Um, well, what the H? Hmm. Maybe I don't even need that light. Uh, yeah, so it is ironic that, I've been calling my live show How to Hide Your Guns from Gavin Newsom. It was half joking, but if you were at the show in Orange 2 weeks ago, I laid out a scenario where a mass shooting in California would be followed by Gavin Newsom probably hand delivering, a package of laws the next morning to a supermajority Democratic assembly here in California and ramrodding those through, which would include, an immediate gun ban, assault rifle ban. So, I think it's a realistic scenario. So maybe I should turn those lights off then. If that's the case. How about just one? That's a little better, right? Okay. And wait, one more adjustment. Hang on. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Setting up one more light. My fault. I should have done this beforehand, obviously. Okay, still here. Hang on. Still there. All right. Now I think we're good. Now I think we're a little better. All right. So this is, hey, shoestring budget here, okay? Yeah. So first things first. As I have seen for 10 years, inevitably the the American mass spree shooter is a middle-class white male who has been on psychotropic drugs since they were 11 or 12. And so, I don't know, do we go down the list again? The Columbine kids, those two. Of course, Cho Seung-Hui at Virginia Tech lied on his ATF form 4473. Even though he had been adjudicated mentally defective, he lied. But because of HIPAA laws, they can't check that. James Holmes at Denver University, let's go down his history. He was on drugs since he was about 12. His mother was a nurse in San Diego. She literally handed him his meds every single day. He goes off to the University of Denver as a psychology, for a psychology master's. He scares the shit out of them, and they expel him. Oh, meanwhile, by the way, he stopped taking his meds, and he lied to his mommy. Elliot Rogers, Santa Barbara, on meds since he was 11 or 12, goes up to Santa Barbara, stops taking his meds. This guy, 2 days ago, His father dies. Well, first of all, fetal alcohol syndrome. Dr. Drew talked about that yesterday on KABC. And Dr. Drew said, I am 100% sure that this kid, and you can look at him, you can look at the features, the facial features. Beyond the Russian ethnicity, there's something else there. The weird orientalization of the eyes. The guy had fetal alcohol syndrome. And let me make sure my connection is correct. The guy had fetal alcohol syndrome, and then he was on meds, from the time he was 11 or 12. Then his mother died of flu complications last year, just 4 months ago. So guess what? He went off his meds. So here's the thing. This is what I would tell a lot of gun folks, is that you need to advocate for a deeper mental health check, possibly even modifying HIPAA. The Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, provides for security of our medical records. That's fine, unless you consent. So what we have seen in these mass killings, even though firearm homicides are on a 30-year downward trend, while there's more guns than ever. So in other words, guns are in the hands of the people who should have them because there's less firearm homicides. But these spree shootings are up, and these coincide with these young middle-class men. And again, I make this point over and over and over. There is a brigade's worth of AK-47s in Sylmar and Compton. Okay, why don't these shootings happen there? Because black people don't put their kids on Adderall. Black people don't diagnose their 11-year-olds as ADHD or whatever, and they don't put them on these things. And so this is where for gun fans like us, we need to start advocating for some sort of comprehensive mental health check when you apply to purchase whatever, handgun or whatever, because, and you need to hear me out. Before you say, that restricts my rights, then you'll want to hear option B. And option B is where Gavin Newsom comes and takes your guns. Because he doesn't want to hear about the SSRIs or Adderall or Prozac or any of that. He doesn't want to hear about the fact that this kid, first of all, came out of a Russian uterus with bad wiring. The incidence of fetal alcohol syndrome among Russian orphans is through the roof. It's not as bad as Romanian orphans, but it's pretty fucking bad. And if you're so desperate for a white kid that you go to a Russian orphanage, then you're getting what you pay for. Those kids are damaged. And so this is what we got to do, is talk to legislators who will start talking sense about this. Because I can make this point all day long. Hey, 30 years ago, these didn't happen. I had semi-automatic weapons in my household. I drove a pickup truck with a shotgun in the back window to my high school. Okay, why didn't these happen 30 years ago? And I know probably more than most other men that if these drugs had been available when I was in 5th grade or 6th grade, I guarantee I would have been on it, probably. Except the deal was I had male teachers in elementary school and junior high. I mean, at my elementary school, Aina Haina Elementary School in Hawaii, I had a teacher who was 6'8" and 300 pounds. He was a big fucking Hawaiian. And yeah, you did not mess around. By the way, YouTube flags me when I drop F-bombs for some reason. Logan Paul can go and make fun of a suicide, but KFI's Brian drops an F-bomb. And also, I have to watch the GUN talk. So I might have to say items. I don't know. But so anyway, the deal and the reflex, the knee-jerk reflex of the American media is always to blame the gun because people were just killed by a gun. Okay, and I've stopped shouting people down on that because the gun killed them. I get that. But it is legitimate to sit there and ask, Why didn't this happen 30 years ago? Why was this suddenly in 1999? Why did this start happening? And why is there such a narrow cohort of young men who do this? And by the way, I haven't even brought up Adam Lanza. There's another one. There was a kid, Adam Lanza with Sandy Hook. There was a kid who was so crazy, his mom homeschooled him because he freaked people out. And you can just look at pictures of Adam Lanza, and you're looking at a nutbag. She hand-fed him his meds to placate him. He literally spent weeks in the basement online to placate him and make him happy. She bought him an AR-15, and she took him to the range and found a hobby for him. And then he got wind. Then he found out that she was going to send him to a full-time booby hatch in Olympia, Washington, and he killed her. He killed her and went to her favorite thing, to that elementary school. He destroyed, everything she loved. And of course, he was off his meds. And then Kip Kinkle, of course, in Springfield, Oregon. My connection to the Kip Kinkle thing, the school shooting, was really weird because one of his victims, he killed his mom and dad. And then he went to North Thurston High School there in Springfield and began shooting. One of the first people that he killed had just enlisted in my cavalry troop, in Echo Troop, 82nd Cavalry in Tualatin, Oregon. And so he had enlisted, so his parents got the full death benefit. Got the $250,000 life insurance. And he was a good kid. He was really enthusiastic and couldn't wait to go to basic training and all that. Which brings up another thing, by the way. Don't surrender to the left the empathy. This is part of a problem that I struggle with. Is I should probably stay off Twitter the day after one of these mass shootings, but there's so much stupid, crap that goes on the tweeter machine, and so it allows this impression a lot of people on the left have that we lack empathy, and here's the deal. I'm in kind of a little Twitter spitter with my friend Lauren at KBC, and let me just say, I love her to death. We're good friends. And we have differences, and we actually have sort of, on the QT, we've patched this up. But what prompted it was I had said on Twitter that I like living in a nation of rights, and that we have these rights because people long ago fought and sacrificed for us to live in a nation of rights, where we have more rights than the state. And we owe it to them to take a deep breath before we begin editing their work. That's what I tweeted. And her reply was, well, what about the rights of children to go to school safely? And I pointed out to her, and if you don't know this, I got news for you. There's no such right. There is no such right. You have no right to send your kid to school and expect that your kid will be alive. You have no right to get